acclimate me to the country. So I'm looking forward to this next few minutes.
You will enjoy it.
This is my most important question that I ask leaders. So I want you to think about it. As we speak, what is keeping you up at night?
How to make sure that I deliver on the expectation of my customers. Because that is what is important, that's what pays me. In the end, they expect an outcome from you. And I think the least you can do is to deliver on their expectation.
So let's talk a little bit about those expectations, right? Because when you are at the C level, you manage up and manage down. So you have board and shareholders to whom you're accountable, a regulator that you have to talk to, and then you've got your own internal stakeholders who often have their own competing interests. How much time do you spend managing outside versus managing inside the business?
You know, I used to be the technology director, and when I was interviewing for the CEO role, my boss, I met him in London, said to me, you will spend 60% of your time engaging external. And I thought, really? And it has probably been 70. Because there's a lot that happens out there in the business that I run. I have 3 subsidiaries and I have government as my 30% minority shareholder. So there's a lot that happens. I also have a mobile money business. So I have 2 regulators, one for the GSM business and the other for the mobile money business. And so there's a lot of stakeholder engagement that happens. And yeah, that takes quite a bit of my time.
How do you manage I promise we're going to come down to it in a minute, but I'm starting the conversation with the questions I want to ask. How do you manage the regulatory interests, which often are around keeping the business running smooth, with the consumer interests, which often is around innovating for the future? And if you're innovating for the future, you've got to disrupt the current business. But if you're just...
Yes, we have it coming in, but they want to be able to send money outside. And today, Ghana, we are not allowed to send foreign currency outside. You lobby the regulator, you talk to the regulator, but this is what the customer wants. And so you now work with the regulator to get policy in place to allow this to happen. And this we have been working at, for example, for the past 2 years, and I think we're making progress.
We've had a conversation that focuses on base of pyramid. I want to move further up the consumer pyramid now. Talk to me about what's happening in the satellite space. Talk to me about what's happening with the launching of Starship, SpaceX, Starlink. And what does that mean for your competitive environment here?
All right. So again, back to customer expectation. Customer wants connectivity and they don't care how you deliver it. And there will be innovation. And so people are coming with solutions. It used to be the microwave, then it moved to fiber, and satellite is in now. The satellite that we had in the past was not direct to the phone. With the new technologies that we're seeing satellite delivery directly to the phone. And to devices, and that's what people are having in their homes. In Ghana, we still don't have the approval to have satellite services delivered directly to the handset. So it's still being delivered through the switches. And so this is, again, innovation. This is something that you work with the regulator towards how you make it happen. In terms of our business, it's going to be complementary, not a threat. In the end, again, as I started, you have to deliver to the customer's expectation. A lot of businesses have had to fold up because they did not understand customer language, and it'll take them by surprise. You cannot stop innovation. So I think what is important is to understand what the customers expect, and then you work towards how you achieve it.
A number of your customers, let me say it this way. So I lead one of the preeminent venture capital funds in the continent. And one of the things I've noticed is that, in particular when it comes to West Africa as a region, the remittances part of the ecosystem has grown rapidly. How do I ask this question? How do you make sure that you have a foot in that playground? Because one, it's led by highly capitalized, very well capitalized technology startups, typically registered somewhere in Delaware, raising US money, and deploying it in the continent here, but with unbelievably capable and talented people answering base of pyramid questions. When you think about your competitive landscape, how do you make sure that you stay competitive in that space?
So we see ourselves as a payment enabler, and so we play in that space. Today we carry the money, let me put it in simple terms, that people want to bring to their families and friends and for businesses in Africa. And so they can come through our platform, and then the money gets dispersed. We work through the banks. Eventually it's going to be wallet to wallet, but for now we work through the banks and we're able to deliver. So I will see ourselves again as partners to the innovation, the remittances, all the money that people want to send through Africa, and we're still connecting to many partners today.
For your context audience, about 90% of the questions I have asked of Patricia were not in the scripted questions. This is the great thing about being external, right? Patricia. What's your view on crypto?
Again, you can try to stifle innovation, but it will catch up with you. People have decided that this is how they want to invest their monies. This is how they want to play. What we have to do is to put the regulatory framework in place to allow people to play. That would be my opinion, because you cannot stop it. In my opinion.
Let's come back to Patricia, the leader now. As a father of three, one of the things I've come to learn is that men tend to get away with a lot more. Let me say it this way. Society allows men to get away with a lot more than it does women, right? So if I'm a father of three and I'm traveling the world, I'm being successful. If you're a mother of three and you're traveling the world, you're being negligent. Yes? So I was looking at the flag of Ghana and noticed that it's the Lone Star. I thought it was quite interesting because I just came from Texas, which is called a Lone Star state. And so I've gone from 1 star to 1 star, hopefully to stay in a 5-star hotel. How does Patricia balance being a homemaker?
There's no balance. You give to Caesar what is Caesar's. When it's time to work, I work and I work hard. And I'm a mother of three. When it's time to work, I focus and I work hard. And when I'm home as if work is not important. I spend quality time with my kids when I'm present. And when I'm in the office, I give it all my best. You can choose to say that you want to find the 50-50 balance, but one would have to pay the price at a certain point in time. And so I have found over the period to rather give quality to whoever has my time.
I like that. When you think about the role you play as a leader in business, and how you shape the economy of Ghana so that it is a prosperous economy even for your own children. What are the top 3 things that you think you can contribute to the economy of Ghana to help it build an economy of the future? Top 3 things that Patricia believes she can contribute into the economy that can help it build an economy not of today, but of the future.
Okay, so let me start with so the telco industry, for those who are new to Ghana, we have 3 players in the telco industry, and Telecel, the business I lead, is the second player in the market. Now, if you look at the way the economy of Ghana is structured and the way Africa is growing, you cannot say you are developing your economy without thinking digital, without thinking technology. And so I see myself as a significant player in making a difference in the economy of our country. We are the enablers. It doesn't matter what the policy, whether it is in agri, health, education, you would need a piece of technology, you need a piece of connectivity to make it happen. If you want to address rural-urban migration, you will need our technology to send connectivity to the regions, to the rural areas, to give them the digital tools so they don't come to the city. It is very, very important that we understand how the telecom sector plays. And so the first thing will be our direct contribution to enabling the digital solutions that the country needs. Secondly, as Patricia, I am a woman and I have been through, starting from secondary school, how difficult it has been for women to thrive. And so I have spent personal time to make sure that the women who come after me, at least the few that I can touch, have a better experience, a better life than I have had. And so I've created a number of platforms, number of opportunities, held a number of hands, and I will continue to do that, and I believe it's made significant impact. So touching the lives of women in STEM, in education, for me has been one of the strong pillars I think I have been able to contribute to society. The third will be my spiritual self. So I hold God in high esteem and I don't hide my belief in God. And I think that the role modeling that I provide enables the young ones coming to know that you can still get to the top and still be a leader with integrity. You don't have to compromise on your principles.
It's good. It's interesting that you ended with that last part, because that was going to be my next question. How does Patricia define purpose?
So I remember in 2019, I was interviewed by a presenter and he said, that's when I started the role as CEO. And he said, Patricia, when you leave the role, how would you want to be remembered? And I said, it will be the woman who made impact. I've been very fortunate to work with two brands, international brands, Vodafone and Telecel, who have allowed me to bring my value to bear in the job that I do, because they believe in purpose and they drive it. I don't believe that as an individual that God created you to arrive on this earth and just to die. In between birth and death, I believe that there's life, and within that life there's purpose. So it is the why I'm alive, it is the why I exist. And for me, I got the understanding very early, and that is to enrich lives, to be help, to touch lives and make a difference. And so for me, in that birth to death, in between, for me, purpose for Patricia will be touching lives.
It's good. I was having lunch with a dear friend 2 days ago, and she said something which I thought was interesting. And she said, success without a successor is failure. It's good, right? So question for you, how does Patricia think about building successes, not only in your role in the workplace, but in your role in society?
So my background is engineering, and I used to be the technology director in Vodafone. Now, when I joined the company, I saw the number of women in engineering, and we tried to understand why we didn't have that many women. And so I went to the CEO and HR and said, can we run a program that brings a woman into the business, female engineers? We went to the number of universities. And so for the past 10 years, we have been running this program where by your third year, we actually pay your school fees to ensure that you complete your program, and then you come in for internship, for mentorship, and then we give you a job. Now we run this for 10 years, and we don't even ask them to sign a bond that you work for the company. This means that we have contributed to the quality of engineers that can come into the system, the number of women who can continue the journey that Patricia started. We have established a technology academy, we call it Digitech Academy. And it was just refreshing to meet some of the kids last week, coding, doing robotics, etc. If you're able to invest in the lives of these children, I'm not asking them to come and work for me. It will take time for them to even show up in my workplace. So this is investment in their lives to say, I'm creating a future for you that will enable you to tap into the huge opportunity of tech and digital space that will be created by the time you guys grow up. We invest a lot in coding. We have Code Like a Girl. I am the chair of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. We have established what we call the Ladies in STEM. And so every company that's a member of the chamber is encouraged to have seats for ladies in STEM, which means every year you will make a deliberate effort to recruit women. So I am confident that even after Patricia steps out of the telecom industry, these pipelines will fuel the growth going forward.
Very good. Building systems, right? It's really good. One of the challenges I have as a leader is that I find in today's era, it might be different for you, the proportion of people who want the microphone relative to those who want the shovel is incorrect. And this has a lot to do, I suppose, with the culture we're living in. These mobile devices we're carrying, the social medias that we can, today you can be an influencer with 1 million followers on social media when you haven't achieved anything materially important in your career. And so that distorts what people chase, because they begin to chase being followed rather than being competent. And I'm not suggesting that these two things are mutually exclusive. You can do both. But I am asking which of these comes first. Here's the question for you. How do you think about building a generation of leaders who understand that the work gets done with the shovel, not the microphone? That the stuff that actually matters often can't be broadcast, but that's where the material impact needs to be, specifically when it comes to working in STEM.
The example you give is real, because that is what we applaud, right? We applaud followers. But I encourage young people from school, your first 5 years after leaving university is to build competence. And the reason I say that is that I've spent enough time in the boardroom to understand that people come in and definitely want to be the CEO, want to be the manager in the second year. And yet when you start asking people questions about marketing, about the science, the technology, you start seeing the gap. It will show. Now you can rise to the top quickly, it's fine, but in the end you will not be able to challenge your team, you will not be able to make impact, you'll not be able to add value. If you are invited to a meeting, you want 3 people to follow you because you are not sure you can answer all the questions from your customers. My team always tell me I cheat in meetings because there's very few things you bring to the meeting that you beat me to, and I'm sure they are smiling. You have to build competence, you have to know your stuff so that you can survive in a world that is changing so rapidly. As I sit here, I'm still studying, I still read, I still update myself, otherwise I will be found wanting. So how much more you, the young person who is coming up and building a career, my
Amen.
best gift to you is to build competence before you think about going to the top.
Absolutely. I said to one of the executives in my business the other day, I said, one of the ways I know if a leader is ready for the position they want is if they desire it or not. If you want the job, you typically are not ready for it, because it means you've not understood what that job is. Because if you did understand what it really took to be CEO of a listed company or multinational or a regulated entity, believe me, you wouldn't want that job. And so that's the first thing. And the second thing is, as we, Africans do this as well with leaders and presidents, right? I'm not sure if it happens here, but in my country, if you want to solve the problems of my country, just find a speakeasy where the drunks go drink. And on a Friday at about 9 p.m. after they've had a little bit to drink, they have all of the solutions to all the country's problems. Because what we do is we simplify really complex issues, when actually leadership is about dealing with the complexity of the issue. And it's the hardest thing being a leader, because people pass judgment when they don't understand the factors you had to consider to make the decision in the first place. This is my last question for you. How do you balance being effective versus being popular?
You stay focused. It's just like football, the way we all sit behind the TV, we insult the coach, we talk about the players. I have supporters in my home, they have opinions. I wish the way they talk about football is the same way they play it, But everybody has an opinion, and so I'm sure that even the way I lead my business, people would think that the product should have been like this, the service should have been like this, you should have said this. But you stay focused on the plan, and that's why you should be very clear on where you are going, what the outcome that you want is, and be very clear on how you want to achieve it. It's good to take advice, and there are multitude of counsel, there's wisdom. But it also does not mean that you allow many mouths into your pot. Otherwise, you get distracted.
So good.
And you'll miss your goal.
So good. Give her a round of applause, please. That was really good. Did you say, in the multitude of counsel, there is wisdom? I love that. Patricia, thank you for this conversation.
My pleasure.
Before I release you, to the young people in this audience here, what is the one quote that Patricia lives by? And it can't be in the multitude of counsel, there is wisdom. You've said that one.
Let integrity lead you, do not compromise on it.
Let integrity lead you. Do not compromise on it. Excellent. Everybody, please, thank you, Patricia. We're going to hand back now to the moderator of this event. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation to be here, and I look forward to being back here tomorrow for the masterclass. Thank you.